So instead of making one video dedicated to family and friends about building the range lane or the pistol rack, I just kind of wanted to do a tour and like an update on where we're at. You hear that? That's the sound of peace and quiet here in Ricardville. Well, that's what we call it. In the last video, I left off right around the time we got this Shabin and we were working on the range lanes. And to be honest with you, we recorded some stuff, but we've had a mixture of weather, and it was hot and cold and rainy, and we had that hurricane. You got it in four-wheel? It's a steep one. We know that this is the 100-yard down here, so you have all this backstop up to the four-wheelers. That's fine. All right, so we know that no matter what we do, this cluster has to come down because of the high foliage. Good to go? Yep. Big brother, little brother.
That sounded heavy.
Come on, baby. That thing don't want to come down, does it? No, it doesn't. There she goes. We did have our first overnight outing here, and to be honest with you, we got screwed on the weather. We thought it was going to look like this, but it wasn't. It was overcast. So not until about 4 o'clock in the morning when I went outside to walk the dog did I get to see the beautiful, beautiful stars and everything. And by then I wasn't going to break out the big camera and start taking pictures, but I'll get to that sooner or later. A lot of roots. So one of today's project was to get up a chain as a deterrent for now until we get some poles in here. Set us down at the front entrance. Culverts have held up nice. Everything looks good down in this section. So it's Friday, and we did get some work done. We got this nice little fire pit. We're going to set up some chairs. And Drew is kind enough to go around and put up the flags. We love it. But it should be a nice evening, not too cool. If it's not too windy, we'll put the drone up once we get a fire right here. So if I haven't said it, this is going to be the first overnight at the camp. We got a little Coleman grill, which is very similar to the one we have for the camper. This is not as high tech, but we're going to have chicken. We are going to have chicken, and we're going to have beans and potatoes, and of course, cerveza. We even have a visitor over here. She's really out of place. Drew's going to cut us some firewood. He had to use my big saw. He couldn't use the smaller saw.
Bigger's better.
It's just so weird to have a cabin here, an actual place to stay and enjoy. America, baby. We love it.
We're gonna get a few more flags.
We're gonna get some more. Line the whole quarter-mile road. There you have it. So we're done eating and we're ready to eat some ice cream that we bought, but it got chilly out here real quick. Drew's trying to get the fire rolling. He's definitely not his mom. His mom's great at that. Well, we have our first official fire here, Drew.
Doing pretty good.
The Romans have nothing on my road. All right, if you walk uphill to the stump that's sitting there, or the log, I should say, that should be 75-ish. Let me measure you when you get there. Hold the plate at your chest. That's showing 73.9, so back up. Yeah, if you mark your toe of your foot, maybe just a little bit in the front of your foot, that's 75 even.
You want me to go ahead and mount it?
Yeah, go ahead and mount it because, like I said, we can move it to the side and dig a little pit for it just to make sure it doesn't fall over. You know, every time we're in the woods, in the middle of nowhere, you can't hear anybody, and we put the drone up last night, and really the nearest lights you saw were just so far away. But I'm standing here and I can hear a plane. You never get away from it all. But we did a good job. This is the pistol rack. This is one of the pistol racks. This is the one that's going to be the easiest, but we wanted something to be up and ready for next weekend when we come. We just want to have a day that we're out here enjoying it instead of working, because that's all we've been doing for how long now? Over a month or more. 2 months.
Yeah, at least 2 months.
2 months. I lose track of time. But it's sunset. It's fall. Everything's getting ready to change. And everything is out here. The targets for now, we got it set up. And of course, earlier you just seen Drew out there. And we're going to put a lot of stuff out there, but for right now, that's your 100-yard rifle range. And we're going to have a lean-to or something that we're going to be able to sit under here. But this is Ricardville after 2 months of sweat labor. And I mean that really, sweating every time. So with the trail going up there, at some point I want to extend it over this way across the gully, but it's real deep on that side. Custer's Gulch. I keep calling it gully, but it's Custer's Gulch, we call it. And there is a four-wheeler trail / tactical trail that runs up all the way up the hill there and back over to here. And there's also a little shortcut here. But there's what I call Fern Hollow Trail. This is down on the other side of this ridge. And this is to be known as Ricard Ridge. Doreen came up with that. But if you look back out the road here, and the road goes around and goes across the power line and down to the front half. But right in here, I cut in a hill road, whatever you want to call it, that goes down and back up across the power line. But it also comes down along this little gully or gulch over here. And I never did connect it here because the terrain was really, really steep, but it's real pretty. And while we're going out to the beginning of this trail, I want to show you the wagon wheels here. I know there's a bunch of shadows, but those are Doreen's original wagon wheels from Bunker Hill. And unfortunately, I deleted some photos that I had of a family herd of deer. None were bucks though, but it was nice to see them on the trail cam, because we've really, as you can see, disturbed this landscape, and they're probably confused. Where our friends that have property over that way, they already had a road in, kind of like they already had a road in, so they really didn't do a lot of disturbing of the terrain, and they've spotted some bear as well as some bucks, and I think she said she saw a fox, and it was some weird, she thought it was a bear, but it looked really too skinny to be a bear. Almost looked like a black panther or a puma or something, like a cougar mountain lion, but it was black. But you really couldn't tell what it was. It's a mystery. This is Fern Hollow. This is a pretty steep hill, and I cut this in with the skid steer and went back up the power line. And I'm going to say those two hills, it kind of goes into a Y right there. Those two hills going up the power line are probably the steepest on the property, but they have the least amount of obstacles, so it's not too dangerous. I guess that's what Doreen would be looking for, that word, dangerous. So this is what we're calling Fern Hollow, or the Fern Hollow Trail. And as you can see, the four-wheel trail, one goes up that way and one goes up that way and across to the front half, across the power lines. But looking back up the hill here, it's steep. So as you walk down, I think this is going to make a nice nature trail for those of you that are, and for us, it's a tactical trail where we can set up targets across the way, that sort of thing. It's not too bad here. And this is down from where the Shabin is. The Shabin is up there on the ridge. But we're down here in Fern Hollow, people. Fern Hollow. And as you can see, this is where I had the skid steer in here. And I got to a point where I just couldn't go any further uphill. It was steep and there was too many trees, and I didn't want to knock down a bunch of trees. And that would have been the only way for me to just keep going through here. And I cleaned this up today. Doreen had some schoolwork to do, grading and that sort of thing. And I don't think we're done with the camper yet for this year, so I think she was cleaning the awning. But I came out and I wanted to get a jump start, because once it gets cold out, the motivation levels drop. And this is real steep terrain, so if you hear me breathing heavily or talking different, that's why. Friends, family, there's the Shabin. But I cut all this today. Whew, I'm out of breath now. Now there's a trail on the front of the property that I cut in. It's pretty windy. That'll be a neat trail. But I'm not going over there now. I'm too tired. Doreen expects me home by 5 o'clock. Woo! That's a steep hill. So we started this project. I think we closed on the property on August 4th, and by September 1st or 4th, I rented the skid steer for 2 weeks. And this is what we've done. And pretty much, I was out here every day after getting all the orders done in the shop to get this done, and then Drew would come out when he could, and he was a real big help. But it's been a real big project, and to be quite honest with you, when Doreen and I sat down and we talked about what we're going to do, what we're going to put here, how we were going to do it, I never really imagined it being like this. I mean, I maybe at the minimum I expected a four-wheeler trail up to some kind of like little cabin that we built, but because I don't have a fear of trying new things, I was able to do it. And I mean, I've had experience on skid steers and things like that, but this is a whole different ballgame. This isn't picking up gravel or coal and sticking it in a truck or something like that. This is a whole new thing, but there wasn't really much to damage. It was really just knocking trees down. And again, this is not done. It's just to the point where we can put targets up and actually start shooting. And because Doreen was busy today, I said, oh, I'm gonna go over and I'm gonna take a few shots. And when I got here, I realized that I forgot to bring the ammo. Luckily, I had the chainsaws with me because I had taken them with me home to sharpen the chains. But I left them in the truck from yesterday, and here we are.